Warning, this video is yet again another character analysis that consists of copywritten material owned by the late Monty Oum, Rooster Teeth, Viz Media, and DC Comics. The creator, holder of the streaming rights, owner of the manga publication rights, and comic book publication and distribution rights, respectively, to RWBY. All names referenced in this are owned by them. This is of my property, Mets2128, and is covered under fair rights usage. Just because I say the names does not mean you can throw me off the air. Viewer discretion is advised, as this also will contain a little personal headcanon for a character and analysis for a character that, let's just say, is very hated. And I hate this character too, but I'm going to try and give this character a backstory that tries to give her a little bit of sense. Yeah, by her, I think you know where I'm going with, and with what I just said, I think you pretty much know where I'm going with that. Would probably guess where I'm going with this. And when I said the most hated character in the fandom, yep, I'm going to do my best to give an analysis and a headcanon, at least in my opinion, to what the backstory behind one Cinder Fall is, or could be. Because, let's face it, Miles and Carrie, they ain't doing jack and shit to give her a backstory. Or as far as I'm concerned, 7 volumes in, and we have little to nothing outside of her lust for the power of the 4 maidens as her motivation, which is lacking. So with this video, what I'm going to do is try to build up a backstory for this character. And what better way to do it? And I've had a couple of days to rehearse this video, but then to take inspiration from what RWBY made her an allusion to, both an allusion to and a perversion of, that being Cinderella. Okay, what was Cinder like before she became the bitch we all know? Well, here's my theory. And it's, for the most part, a parallel to that of Cinderella's childhood. She had loving parents, but her mother died when she was very young. And despite her father doting on her constantly and giving her the love and affection she always wanted, Cinder still felt something was lacking. Now, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to say that she was born and raised in Mistral, not Atlas like Jack One Man Band thought. Anyway, she decides to fill the hole in his heart by finding someone who's a kindred spirit to him. And thus, she stumbles across a widow with 2 daughters of her own. She and Cinder's father hit it off fairly well, and eventually they marry, and it seems like a happy family for a time. But sadly, Cinder's father passes away, and right around the time Cinder becomes a preteen or is about to hit adolescence. And this is where the ugly, cruel, and vindictive side of her stepmother and sisters come out, and they reduce her to a slave in her own home. Now, this is where the parallels and similarities between Cinder and Cinderella end. This and begins their deviation. Now, especially if you've watched the Disney adaptations of Cinderella, you'll know that how Cinderella ultimately overcomes her situation. It's through patience, perseverance, kindness, love, humility, and courage, and hope, and of course her fairy godmother. That she eventually gets out of the situation she's in, marries her Prince Charming, and lives happily forever after. That's the basic interpretation of Cinderella. Basically, she was able to rise above the hatred, cruelty, and malcontent that her stepfamily inflicted upon her. Cinder Fall, on the other hand, chooses to embrace this hate. And once she unlocked her semblance, she decided to use it to lash out and kill her stepmother and sisters. And this is what attracts and gets Salem's attention. And essentially, Salem becomes Cinder's scary godmother. And yes, I am fully aware Salem is basically an illusion of the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz. But in this case, in this situation, she's basically Cinder's version of a fairy godmother, or as I called her, since Salem is basically a witch, a scary godmother. And essentially, she takes Cinder under her wing, promising her power beyond her imagination, and that would make what she did and allow her to inflict suffering, that would make what she did to her stepmother and sisters look like child's play. Under the condition, but Salem sets a condition that Cinder has to be her agent of suffering, of chaos, of mayhem, of misery, of fear-mongering and despair. Cinder agrees to the terms, but she adds a little condition that she has subordinates that she could find that have been in a similar boat that she is. And Salem, shockingly, grants this request. Thus, Cinder goes around the kingdoms and stumbles across Emerald Starossi, a pettily homeless thief looking for a purpose in her life, and Mercury Black, the son of an alcoholic and abusive assassin, Marcus Black, who had just stolen his son's semblance and cut both his son's legs off. Thus, the two agreed to join Salem's lot for different reasons. And the rest, as they say, is history. Yeah, I know it's not much to go on, but hey, Miles and Carrie have yet to give this bimbo, a convincing backstory. If they're not gonna do it, I might as well do it. And yes, I play too much of a parallel to her illusion, to her fairy tale counterpart. But again, work with what you got. And like with my Watts character analysis video, would any of the 5 I mentioned in that video be willing to give this video a look at and see if what I come up with would be a good fit for this character, for Cinder, or as far as her backstory would go? Because like I said, it's not like Miles and Carrie are even going to bother giving us her backstory. And for the record, no, like I stated, I also hate this character for the atrocities she's committed. And the fact she's too stupid to realize 2 things. 1, even if she were to get all 4 main powers under her control, she still wouldn't be able to slay Salem, because I think that's what her endgame is, to break free of Salem's grasp, because she thought her step-family was bad enough. Arguably, she could say that her scary godmother is even worse. I mean, sure, she gets more freedom with Salem than she ever did with her step-family. But she's still basically doing Salem's bidding. Essentially, she's still a servant. I mean, nothing more than a pawn. And she wants out of that station. And she thinks the best way to do it is to overthrow the Queen of the Grimm by taking all 4 main powers. Unaware of the fact that even if she were to obtain the power of all 4 seasonal maidens, it still wouldn't be enough. And number 2, her Grim appendage. That thing acts as a suppressor, or for the main powers as it is, and doubles as basically a leash that Salem can tug on and restrain Cinder. So essentially, Cinder's fighting a losing battle that's going to come back around and get her killed. At least that's my opinion. Will we be happy if Salem puts her out of her misery? I'm pretty sure the majority consensus would be yes. Because at this point, Cinder is basically a mad dog on the loose. And we're pretty damn sure that by the end of this volume, or going in the next volume, Neo is going to stab her in the back. And which has led many people to believe that Neo, not Winter Schnee, is going to become the Winter Maiden. Because let's face it, Neo is only allied with Cinder at the moment because she can't take Cinder down. As much as she wants to get her hands on Neo wants to get her hands on RWBY, the fact that she's still pretty much Cinder's errand girl at this moment is pissing Neo off. Is bringing Neo to her boiling point. And eventually, Neo's going to snap, steal the Winter Main powers for herself, and then go after Cinder. That's my opinion, anyway. Well, that's all I've got for this video. Comment on the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Goodbye. Good night. Bang. And to the 5 I mentioned in the last video, please give this video a watch and see if what I'm saying would match up for a backstory for Cinder Fall. That's all I gotta say.